everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at one of the stakes on this Saturday card at Belmont at the Big A. Race 2 is the Grade 2 Man o' War. This a race with a storied history, though didn't track necessarily a vintage field this year. Only 5 runners signed on to participate, Mike, and there is going to be a pretty talented runner going favorite here in the number 3 Far Bridge. He was one of the best U.S. turf males last season. Just unfortunate this race didn't really produce a competitive bunch to line up and face him.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. We didn't really get anybody to fill in here. So it's going to go as race number 2 on the card with a very, very heavy favorite in the race. And Farbridge, who's, second off the layoff and just, based on overall form, his good races, it's probably too good for these horses.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this Man o' War. And Mike Farbridge is a very versatile horse. He's become so late in his career where he used to be more of a one-run closer, but he can sit up close to the pace. He can actually lead from gate to wire as he did in his Sword Dancer victory last summer at Saratoga. And he seemed a little more aggressive in some recent starts. So I'll be interested to see where Joel Rosario places him in the early stages. But it does feel like there are 1 or 2 horses to his outside who probably want to go forward to have their best chances.
Yeah, it just feels like in this race, and you mentioned that he's versatile enough that they could just put him on the lead if they had to. They probably don't have to do that here, David, but he can just sort of fill in right in behind the leaders, as he did in his Pan American last time off the layup. He just sort of rode the rail behind the pace there and then came outside and drove it down at the end.
Yeah, Decanted is the one shown on the front end. He did go to the lead in a couple of races going shorter during his flat career. He's coming off a jump race. I would imagine they want to be aggressive with the number 4, Capture the Flag, who probably needs to make the front to have his best chance in this spot. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Anglophile. And Mike, this is a horse that doesn't win that often. He's only 3 for 20 in his career, but he's run some decent races at this level on the turf, going these longer distances, such as this most recent performance that we're taking a look at in the Grade 2 Elkhorn at Keeneland, where he was facing a far more competitive field than the one he's meeting here. Yes, there were no Far Bridges in this race, but there were a lot of horses with graded stakes credentials that he was lining up against, and he runs pretty well. He was never on the inside, 2 to 3 wide on the turns, keeps finding more all the way through the wire. You can see he kind of takes a bump right there from the horse to his outside, but it kind of spurred him on to finish even stronger as they came across the finish line. And Mike, when I go through this horse's career, he feels like one that keeps improving the further he gets into his form cycle. Doesn't always run so well off the layoffs, but as they keep racing him and get some consistency into him, he tends to produce better efforts.
Yeah, you could see that off the layoff this year too in January. He just didn't really fire any kind of a shot that day, but he's gotten way better in his 2 starts since then. David, I liked his Elkhorn last time. I thought he ran well in there, even though he was only 3rd best at the end of that race. I thought his race prior to that was pretty good. I thought he ran a bunch of good races last year too. The common thread through all those races that he didn't win any of them. And, I don't know. I like him overall, and I like his form. I don't know if this trip's really going to work out for him. And ultimately, if I'm going to bet against the favorite in this race, I'm probably not doing it with this horse.
Yeah, I've been a fan of this horse, but I've got to say the 13-1 last time, even though he didn't get the job done, was way more appealing than his likely price as the second choice to Farbridge in this race. The number 2 is Padiddle, a horse who did face the favorite Farbridge last time in the Pan American. He was stepping way up in class off a maiden victory. That was his first start off the claim for some new connections, and they got pretty ambitious after that maiden win to step all the way up into Grade 3 company. He wasn't disgraced, never was a threat to Farbridge, but stayed on at one pace to pick up some black type.
Yeah, his maiden one was actually pretty good. He certainly handled stretching all the way back out in distance for that race. And then they, took a shot last time in a much tougher race. He ran fine, thought he acquitted himself well in there, but he was never beaten Farbridge. Still a lot of upside here, David. I mean, I know he's 5 years old already, but he's very lightly raced. And, he's really unexposed as a turf horse too. Maybe he moves forward again.
Yeah, when you watch him run, you can see that he really appreciates those longer distances. He's got a big, long stride to him, just lopes along. Not a whole lot of turn of foot with this horse, but he's going to get the distance. The number 3 is that morning line favorite, Farbridge, who figures to be a very short price at this race. He won off the layoff last time in the Pan American. We'll take a look at the stretch run of that race and got a little closer at the end than I think his backers would have felt comfortable with, because he was a very short price on this day, and it seemed like he was getting a perfect trip until they got into the stretch. He popped outside of the horse that had been leading, and that one put up a real fight as Farbridge has to work to get past him, but he ultimately does wear him down. And Mike, it just feels like this horse has really found his best form now, deep into his career as a 4 and 5 year old. He ran some really nice races last year, including a couple of Grade 1 victories, and if he shows up with his good race, he's going to be a handful.
Yeah, just too good for these horses. I think if he runs his A race, and maybe he'll do it, maybe he won't. I sort of suspect he'll move forward. off of the Pan Am. I mean, he had to work really hard to get the job done there, David, but he was first off the layoff. And it's also, I just think it's worth pointing out when you go back and watch that race too. I mean, that race was kind of slow early. And then the second half of that race got really fast. That horse that was on the lead was, I mean, he had all the best of it cutting that pace, and he really picked it up around the final turn there. And just ran a really good race. Farbridge still beat him.
I will say about Farbridge, he really is a rail runner, and Joel Rosario knows it. Every time he rides him, he tries to stick him right on the rail. When he doesn't get there, sometimes he doesn't run his best races, but we'll see if he's able to get to the inside in this 5-horse field. The number 4 is Capture the Flag, and he posted an upset 2 back when he won the Mac Diarmida going gate to wire. There was some other speed in that race that was not aggressively ridden, so I think it allowed Capture the Flag to get that ideal trip, setting some moderate fractions towards the front end, and he was never able to let anybody buy him in the stretch. Did not get to the front last time in the Pan American, Mike. Just sat 3 wide every step of the way. They went a little quicker up front. It didn't seem like he could really get to the lead going that pace, and he had nothing left by the time they got to the far turn. This time, they've just got to be aggressive and put him in front and see if he's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Put him on the lead, see if he can wire the field here. I mean, I guess I could understand anybody who watched the Pan American back last time and just thought, what's going on here? Like, why are you sitting? It's a 1.5 mile race. Why are you sitting out in the 3 path all the way around the track here? That being said, it's not like Capture the Flag ever did anything in that race. He just sat on the outside and he was completely empty by the time they came to the stretch.
The number 5, Decanted, could be the main early pace rival for Capture the Flag, because this is a horse that did go to the front through some legitimate fractions, going a mile during the bulk of his 2024 campaign. He's been forward in a few races, but they switched him from the Mike Maker barn into the Kerry Bryan stable, looking to make him into a hurdler this year. He did compete in a hurdle race earlier this season. Now they're running in this Man of War. You kind of have to wonder if he was hustled into this race, but it was looking like it might not go with more than 4 horses. So I do kind of wonder how aggressive of a ride he's going to get in here.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it really matters either way. It's also kind of telling too. I mean, Maker had this horse for a long time. He never stretched this horse out. That's all Maker does, is stretch horses out. He never did it with this horse. He just seems like he's really, really hard to make in here.
Let's go to our picks for this grade 2 Man of War. Not a whole lot in here, Mike, and I see you're not trying to beat the likely heavy favorite Farbridge.
I'm very unlikely to bet against this horse, and so I'm not going to pick against him. I just didn't really see a horse that I thought really I would be trying to take a shot against Farbridge with at a short price in here.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm a fan of the number 1 Anglophile. I think he's finding himself in a potentially winnable race here, but I'm not exactly salivating over the price if he's going to be around 5-2 or 3-1 against Farbridge. So I did put him on top, but not the most appealing wagering affair. 1-3-4 for me, 3-2-1 for Mike in the grade 2 Man of War on Saturday at Belmont at the Big A. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.